Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude Beyond Mystic, and welcome to this week's Beyond the Vault special updates. With me today is the one and only, the man, the legend, the rock star of the silver and gold community. Of course, it's Andy Scheckman. He's the CEO of Miles Franklin. You can find his work at milesfranklin.com. Folks, please join me in welcoming Andy. Andy, welcome back to the show. How are you?
JC, it's been too long, man. Way too long. It's great to see you again, brother.
It's good to see you back, Andy. You're in good form. It looks like you have a nice Floridian tan going there. But I have to ask you, as we're starting the show, what the hell's this new background? It's lovely. Andy, what's going on in your life?
So we moved into a new office space, and a few suites down from me is our new studio, which is it's something I've only dreamed of. I have some very big announcements, some of which I can't talk about, like whom we're going to be working with very soon. We're making that announcement probably next week when the studio is completed.
Okay.
Huge news. But yeah, we moved into a new space. This is my office, and right down there is our studio where I will be from now on. It looks like I'm a news anchor sitting in that place. We are at the same time.
But hold on a second. You seem to be elevated quite more just from the view here than what the office I saw in Delray. So where are you now? Can you share?
Yeah, we're in Boca Raton now, which is next door to Delray.
Okay.
The place we had in Delray suited our needs 15 years ago. This is a little bit different.
Right.
But we've also, we're incorporating, we're expanding our company. We're adding divisions, we're acquiring other companies to expand our vertical integration. We're just trying to achieve the things I've been trying to do for a long time. We might actually be able to start doing those things right now. So I don't know. It's as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, sometimes the scariest part of running a business is taking the chance, is taking risks, and calculated risks, of course. But whenever you spend more money and do things that are new, it's a little frightening. But I think this is our time, and I've been very hesitant to do things like this for a very long time. But now is the time. So when I see you next, my guess is it will be from a whole new looking studio that'll blow your mind. I mean, it's blown my mind.
And will you be able to do like multiple people, like kind of podcast interviews from that studio? Like what's the design there? Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and I have a full-time staff that we have brought on board that will be doing live mixing, so that if I were to do a show with you or someone else, within an hour of it being done, it will be fully mixed and sent out. We'll be able to have guests in studio, of course, out, Zoom wise like this. It's something I've dreamed of for a very long time.
Cool. Well, I'm excited for you. And the next time I visit Florida, I'll be sure to go check out your new studios.
Please do. Yeah. And they have a great, biggest problem I have is they have a great bar downstairs in this building. It's a Class A building. I've never been in the Class A building. I mean, you saw a place in Delray, it was anything but. This is different. They may have to come send a search party for me downstairs at the bar.
Okay. All right.
In this industry, sometimes you need a couple of cocktails to wipe the slate clean at the end of the day.
Well, or a couple of cocktails to make sense of this crazy world, man. It's changing faster and faster by the hour, and sometimes it's really hard for us to even follow the news. Folks, thank you so much for joining us here today. We are triple casting on YouTube, X, and also on Rumble. We're going to try to break down maybe 4 or 5 news stories that we feel are important for you to keep on the radar this week as we see everything unfold. Of course, in the last couple of months, Andy was at the Ottawa conference here for Beyond Mystic. He gave one hell of a keynote speech. He was dubbed the rock star of the Beyond Mystic conference. And since then, as if things were not going fast enough and changing quickly enough, we're seeing now the results of these tariffs. We're seeing now quite a bit of pressure on the bond market. Just last week, Alistair McLeod posted on his Twitter that, of course, we were at Silver Liberation Day. He was referring to this 45-year, 50-year cup and handle formation now that just broke. It appears that we might be in this new sci-fi world territory, as Cliff High suggested many years ago in his WebBot data. Hello, Cliff is in the chat. He says, without fear, Andy, life becomes stale. So good.
Yeah, no doubt it does. But, it keeps you on your toes. And
Yeah,
sometimes people underestimate, they think owning a business is so great and everything. I mean, it has its benefits, but it's scary as hell. It causes sleepless nights. So as Cliff said, my life is anything but stale for sure. But
for sure.
yeah,
And
got to
just
do it.
following the news, also, Andy. I mean, you and I have been covering this for years now. The BRICS, the way they're moving out or de-dollarizing, and we're seeing now all of this new innovation talk into the world of crypto. Bitcoin, of course, just hit 110K last week, signaling again that we're moving into a brand new territory. Whether that's a multipolar world, whether that's more tariff wars with China and the BRICS. We don't know. And President Trump just alluded this morning here that he has a deal in principle with President Xi. Well, we can talk about that a little bit later today. But a couple of things I want to revisit before we get into the news of this week, Andy. First of all, we've seen this spat last week between Elon Musk and Trump. And while we're seeing all of this drama unfold, it appears that we've put aside two major key components here moving forward and trying to decode what the truth is behind our economy. One of them, of course, is the audit of Fort Knox, and the
Yep.
other one was this audit of the Federal Reserve. Now, we've seen in mainstream news the discovery of these money printing computers at the Federal Reserve. Doge, of course, was involved in bringing that fraud to bear. But so far, it appears that we've gone dark on both of those counts. What are you hearing from your sources? Do you feel that this is coming back up? Do we need to do other changes before? Are we behind the eight ball? Fed and Fort Knox, Andy, what's coming up with that?
Well, as far as the Fed is concerned, there hasn't been much talk about that at all. We're going to find out, I believe, on Friday, either this week or next week, whom the new Fed chair is likely to be, whom Trump will nominate. Now, my
Do
fingers
you
are
think it's
crossed.
Judy Shelton?
That's who I'm crossed. I mean, they're talking about Percent, the Treasury Secretary, as being a one option. My fingers are crossed certainly for Judy Shelton. That is who I would love it to be, and I hope it is. Quite frankly, it certainly ought to be. But
Well, that's
there is
interesting. Let me just put a sidebar there, Andy, with you. Of
yeah.
course, folks, I'll invite the audience members to go check out Little by Little. It's Andy's podcast here on YouTube. He did interview Judy Shelton here quite a few months ago. She's been pretty prolific in the last couple of months, again, putting her position forward on gold. This was just yesterday, again, talking about us auditing our gold holdings. And this is why I'm coming back to you this on the question of Fort Knox here. If she is indeed tapped on the shoulder for the next Fed chair job, where does that leave us with gold? And also this rumor that keeps nagging at us here of having maybe a gold-backed bond by July of 2026, Andy.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, whatever's going on with gold right now is unlike anything that anyone has ever seen, Jean-Claude. And the amount of gold imports into the United States has been at a level that has really not been rivaled since World War II, when, due to the Bretton Woods Agreement, everyone sent us their gold. The May gold contract on COMEX and the May silver contract on COMEX, to my understanding, were the largest deliveries in the history of the exchange. About $8.5 billion worth of gold was delivered into the COMEX in the month of May. And it's interesting, a lot of this metal is leaving the COMEX ecosystem. Where's it going? Who's got that money? Over 15,000 silver contracts at 5,000 ounces apiece. Do the math, it's a lot. Were delivered in May on silver. Whatever is happening with gold, I believe slowly that it is being reintegrated into the system, the new monetary system. Whether it be Scott Bessent, who is a self-proclaimed gold bug, whose largest holdings when running his hedge fund prior to being the Treasury Secretary was in gold, and also the gentleman who said there would be a new Bretton Woods system likely within this administration, meaning a new monetary system, or Judy Shelton, who is also an advocate of the gold standard, who told me on my thank you for the plug on my show that there would be gold-backed treasuries issued in July 4th of next year, the 250th anniversary. I think both of them understand gold's role. The amount of gold that's coming in on COMEX is signifying the importance of this. So yeah, I think gold is going to continue to creep higher. I really do. And it's interesting because it's creeping higher without much fanfare by the mainstream. Yes, you know.
Let me ask you about that, Andy, for a second
Yeah.
here too. And first, let me just plug again here for the folks who are looking for that in the chat. Andy Scheckman's Little by Little forecast here, Miles Franklin. You can find that here on YouTube. Let me just bring the link down in the live chat if you guys are interested in going to check that out. Quite a few recent interviews there also for you guys. And congratulations, Andy. You're doing absolutely well with those interviews. But going back to gold, as we're seeing the trend here, you and I have been postulating over the last number of years, given some of the titles and the names given to the policies around the world with respect to these gold revaluation funds and how they were named and how they were being repositioned after gold was repositioned as a tier 1 asset at the Bank of International Settlements. We figured that one day here we would be involved in a gold revaluation. As we're seeing the chart here, this is just the last 5 years. Could it be that that revaluation is actually underway, but done in a surreptitious way here as to not maybe flag the mainstream population here that something is happening and behind the scenes? As you just said, last year, the major banks around the world have been in high pace accumulating physical gold here in a big way, perhaps front running this exact chart that we're seeing here now, seemingly on the verge of exponential growth here in 2025. Andy, are we in that process now of revaluating gold, even though it's not named that way or acknowledged by mainstream news?
You know, you're a very intuitive guy. Naturally, in the things that you speak of, your intuition is heightened. And I think that's exactly it. This is why gold is not reacting like the frog in the pot of boiling water. The heat is slowly being turned up and the frog is falling asleep, in the respect that, yes, I believe it is slowly being reintegrated into the system. I think it had been slowly being reintegrated into the system globally before Trump came on scene, and his staff has said to him, listen, this is happening, and if we don't do something about it, we're in big trouble. It's interesting, since the beginning of the year, the commercial traders, which are the ones that really play the market, manipulate the market, have bought back almost 15,000 COMEX contracts. Got this wrong. 150,000 COMEX contracts, which is almost 15 million gold ounces. The number last week was 147,000 plus COMEX contracts with just under 15 million ounces of gold. These are the traders that are normally short. They're buying back their short positions, in other words. So they've bought back nearly 15 million ounces of gold. They're the ones holding the price down. I believe in gold, they're beginning to capitulate. Now, they haven't quite crossed that line yet in silver, but they're getting close. But you have the big traders who have been stepping on gold, slowly removing those shorts, gold continuing to move higher. Even in the face of corrections, they'll bounce right back up. I do believe that gold is being reintegrated. It is being revalued. Now, it may have that one big final push. But yeah, I think that's a very astute point.
We could be in that process already. And for the people who think, oh, JC, I missed the elevator. Andy and JC were telling us to buy gold at $1,000. Here we are sitting at 2,500 today. Have they missed the boat, or are they still
2,500? You mean 30? What are we today? 30,
35, 34, 33.50. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think you've missed the boat at all. But when I think of silver, I think of the word asymmetrical, which means the lowest downside and the highest upside. And I don't think there is a asset on the planet that offers the kind of value that that silver does. And again,
well, let me get into that. Let me get into that. You and I have been discussing over the last number of years, and people are asking us, hey, when's a good time to buy gold versus silver? And you often talk about the concept of the gold to silver ratio, what's naturally coming out of the ground versus what we're seeing here now in these paper contracts. We hit 108 to 1, I think, just in a little while. And we're suggesting now that gold to silver ratio could be the key for exponential growth for the people holding silver right now who've made that trade correctly. Now, I just wanted to put this back on the record for the audience. This was Alistair McLeod here on June 5 saying, yeah, silver liberation day. At that point, it was 35.90, almost $36. We hit the 37 yesterday on the futures or the day before. There's a little bit of a consolidation right now, but we're still sitting at these numbers that are outside here of this 40, 50 year cup and handle formation. So let me ask you the same thing for silver now. What's happening in the background? I saw that Chris Marcus was also questioning here what was happening at the COMEX and whether or not we had some severe short positions here at the commercial bank level that could be spelling disaster already behind the scenes. What's going on in the silver market right now, Andy?
Yeah, Chris is a smart dude. And if what he's saying there, if London only has 7.5 million ounces free float, the game is already over. And maybe that's why they have gone from a T+1 settlement to T+8 weeks, which I'll explain that in a moment. Well, I'll explain that right now. Then I'll talk about other silver fundamentals. Okay. Imagine you have the beyond mystic jewelry empire across the globe, and you manufacture silver and gold jewelry across the globe, and you have gold and silver contracts that allow you to take delivery in London, which is the epicenter of delivery across the globe. And these contracts are what's called T+1, meaning T is the trade day plus 1 is settlement. On the third day, your metal should be moving to your manufacturing center. Well,
that's their normal operating procedure.
Right. Yeah. 3 days. So due to all the metal that's come in from London, and originally it was brought in under the guise of tariffs. And I said all along, that's bullshit. These are not tariffs. This is a ruse. This is far more than tariffs, far more than arbitrage, where you were able to buy it less expensively in London and then deliver it in New York and make a premium. Sure, there was some of that arbitrage and there was some of the tariff fear. But if you know anything about silver, you would know that we have been importing it forever, not gold. Now, we've become net importers of gold since
last October.
Right. And but silver, we've always been importing it. We would kill our industry if we put a tariff on it. And I knew that was bullshit. So what it really was an onshoring, reshoring event. And I think spurred on by Trump's advisors. You got to bring this shit home now, or we're going to lose to the rest of the world. And so they said, well, it's tariffs. So not to heighten not to make it more difficult than it needed to be. And then somewhere along the lines, the Bank of England said, aha, I see what you're doing. And they said, well, I know it's T+1 for your silver and gold, JC, that you need for your manufacturing. We're really sorry, but there's a shortage of manpower and trucks. We're now T+ up to 8 weeks. So you're like, well, what do you mean? I need to manufacture. Sorry, we don't have enough trucks. So the Bank of England doesn't.
But I got orders to fill, man.
Right. And so they've kind of put the brakes on. But this goes to show what Chris is saying, if that's really true. Now, the numbers that I've always been using from a free float are about 270 million ounces. They have supposedly somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 million ounces there. All of it belongs to the ETFs, like SLV, who ironically is controlled by JP Morgan and BlackRock. Now we've talked at length about the military industrial complex's role in suppressing silver because you need it in high-tech weaponry. 500 ounces in a typical cruise missile. They don't show that anymore in the silver supply demand numbers. They took it out. And yet I have a client who helped design the Tomahawk missile and has validated with me between 13 and 14 kilograms in a typical missile like the Tomahawk. That doesn't even take into account aerospace and submarines and all this high-tech weaponry that needs it. And just as a sidebar, JP Morgan and BlackRock are the custodians of the world's largest silver trust. BlackRock is the military industrial complex. They own all of the military companies, the contractors that make all the high-tech weapons. So You hold down the price of silver, that being BlackRock, through naked shorting of the ETFs and of the COMEX contracts through the banks in order to make your high-tech weaponry. Then you use it to fund war across the globe. You blow up countries like the Ukraine, and then you come in and guess who gets the reconstruction contracts? Oh, it's BlackRock. That's right. So this is a cycle that they've been using to hold the price down that is now breaking because the world is wise to it. So far, year to date, silver's up 43%. It's outpacing just about everything. And in Shanghai right now, silver is priced almost $39 an ounce. That's called arbitrage. Yes, traders across the Western world, sell us your silver, send it here. It ain't ever coming back. But you too can make a $2.5, $3 spread between the Western price and the Chinese price. So they are doing all they can to slowly let this move up to a level that I think will blow people's minds. And if you look at that cup and handle that you mentioned, that 45-year cup and handle, which is extremely big, most cup and handles don't have that kind of long-term setup. We are right at the tip of the cup. Now, gold, if you were to contrast it, has the exact same setup. It's already broken through. Silver typically lags gold, but outpaces it in percentage terms once it catches up. And in a very short period of time, people who have been very upset about silver witness the power that it truly has, where it can move up exponentially in a very short period of time. And so I think, yes, we haven't even begun to see what silver can ultimately do before this is all said and done. If indeed what Chris is saying, that the free float like that, because I've been using that 270 or 80 million ounce free float. Well,
Right.
according to David Jensen, who's one of the smartest guys in London who analyzes this stuff, he says that London is trading 2.9 billion ounces per day. That's 3.5 times annual global mine supply. That is 10 times the number that I said. And you want to, that's, I don't know how many, 1,000 times plus, 1,500 times plus the number that Chris is saying. And if he's right, that's unheard of. But what you have is a very dangerous situation. And it's almost as if they have been caught to a degree with their pants down. That's why they said, well, yeah, we are a T+1 settlement, but JC, I'm sorry, we need to be 8 weeks on getting you that silver. There just aren't enough men and trucks to move your silver. We're really sorry. Well, that to me is a default. Now you add on to that. It's one thing for me to say that Russia, who's adding it to their strategic stockpile, is making a move on silver. It's another thing for me to say that China, the number 2 largest producer of silver in the world, is flying all around Latin America, in particular Peru, which is the number 3 largest producer in the world, and buying up all of their doré, which are unrefined, crudely refined bars, maybe 30, 40%, that the miners will fashion into a bar, send it to the refinery where it gets refined down to 999, and their concentrate, which is a sludge-like material that comes as a byproduct of this. They're buying this stuff, paying well over what the West will pay, and shipping it all the way back to China to refine it. This is the 2nd largest producer of silver in the world, is going to that length to go across the globe and buy unrefined silver, send it back and refine it, which disintermediates the marketplace. No one knows how much they're buying or what effect it has on the price. So it's one thing for me to say that, or Russia. It's another thing also for me to say, well, India has bought 900 million ounces in the past 5 years. That's more than the LBMA and the COMEX have together.
Yeah.
And now we talk about the United States making massive deliveries, which has never happened to this degree, where the largest delivery, to my knowledge, in the history of the COMEX, over 15,000 contracts at 5,000 ounces a piece, were delivered in the month of May alone. So price is a tool of misdirection. The biggest money in the world is using the suppressed price to accumulate. Eric Young, I think it's Y-E-U-N-G, something like that. I've had him on my show. You'd think I would know the spelling. His name is King Kong on Twitter. The best. I love the dude. He's phenomenal. He's a Chinese guy, and he says, look, China is doing this. China is suppressing the paper price in the West and gobbling up everything they can across the globe where it isn't affecting the price. In other words, COMEX affects the price, But if they suppress the paper price in New York and then go all around the globe and buy it all at that suppressed price, yes, that's him. He's phenomenal. You should follow him. He says, look, they're playing the long game. Don't let go. Hang on. They're playing the long game to supply silver for their economy for years into the future.
I was having a conversation with a gentleman the other day, and I said, it wasn't easy because they're looking at a couple of people had told me, "Hey, JC, how about that silver and that gold? You must be happy, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, kind of happy."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, lucky for you." I'm like, "No, there's no luck about it. I had to study this stuff, and I had to take the contrarian view, like many people in our audience had to do, and it was hard because mainstream news kept telling us, "Oh no, it's a pit rock, doesn't do anything. Don't touch that stuff. Keep your money in the bank. That's safe. All that stuff." So, but now we're starting to see, and I agree with you. We're just at the beginning. But you talked about price suppression here and price mechanisms, and you also talked about Russia. I want to go back. Remember in a conversation you and I had last year, I think it was at the BRICS summit, probably September, October. Russia alluded to the fact that they were kind of saber rattling that they would or had the power to take over price control mechanisms. They did mention silver and other commodities, but it was interesting that just now, in the last couple of weeks, as we're seeing more escalation between Russia and Ukraine, that suddenly silver is breaking out of its cup and handle formation.
Yep.
Is there a play right now that's happening at that level too, Andy, where you're seeing perhaps people move over to control of the price mechanisms here, and there's this fight between East and West in a bigger way than perhaps, or in a way that Russia was alluding to just last October when they said, "Hey, don't push us too far because we can fuck you up too." I'm paraphrasing here, but could it be what's happening also right now, and we're seeing so much upward pressure on silver right now?
1,000%. And before I answer that question, just Google the following: most buying by central banks is undeclared. And you're going to get a Bloomberg chart, a black chart with gold and silver lines. Do you see that?
Bloomberg, yeah. Hold on, yeah.
Let's go down. You'll see the chart. Do you not have that? Do you log in?
No, maybe I can't. No, sorry.
Let me see if I can email you.
You want to share? Oh yeah, sure.
I can just email you. Let's see here.
Hold on, folks. We're doing this live. Hey, while you're at it, guys, if you like this episode, please hit the like button.
But I'm going to answer that question because what is happening right now? What is happening right now with the BRICS is bigger than I think anything I've ever talked to you about, and no one's talking about it. And that's kind of been my reality. I just put HHH in the subject. Okay. I just emailed you. So what's happening with the BRICS right now centers around precious metals, no question about it. And yes, I do believe that this is exactly what is happening with the expansion of not only their acquisitions, but we're seeing the expansion of the Shanghai Metals Exchange and the expansion of the beginnings of the BRICS Metals Exchange. And if we remember what the gentleman the folks that were building the BRICS Grain Exchange said, they said that we, as the BRICS nations, produce and consume more grain than they do in the West, but we can't control the price. That's controlled on COMEX. Now, look at that. They're saying most of the gold that's being bought is undeclared. Well, how the hell do they know how much is really being bought and or produced? Right. They don't.
Right.
Well, my point is that this is central to what they are doing. But they said with the development of the BRICS Grain Exchange, that will change. We will control the price. Well, the same thing will happen with the metals. But here's the deal that no one is talking about. Now, give me about 2-3 minutes on this. I don't want to belabor the issue too long. But what I do want to do is set the stage for why I think what's happening with BRICS is bigger than anyone thinks. Now, it's gone silent for a while, and people are like, well,
since the last summit, October, it kind of went dark a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. And that's for one reason. Yeah. The reason that happened was that the Bank of International Settlements, who was involved in building mBridge, the technology of mBridge, which is a cross-border payment system that settles instantly outside of SWIFT purview, was operational. They spent 4 years developing it. The BRICS countries, China, Hong Kong, Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates built it for the BRICS. and it was being assisted with the Bank of International Settlements Innovation Hub. And it was operational, and they were rolling it out at their meeting in October in Russia. And at the 12th hour, the head of the BIS said, you know, the BIS cannot be involved in any way in being part of a technology that allows countries that are being sanctioned by the West to evade sanctions. So we're pulling the plug and backing out of Enbridge, and we're going to pull it away. Well, it's as if they just realized that Russia was the R in BRICS. After 4 years of developing, this is espionage in essence. They knew exactly what they were doing and how they timed it. So BRICS calls it now the bridge. Now, follow me on this, because this to me is the biggest information. I've talked about this on other shows recently, not on yours. I haven't been on your show, I think, since the show in Ottawa. Yeah. So this is huge. All right. All right. When I go back to 2019, when I started talking about this stuff, nobody was. What turned me on to it was understanding the development of the Belt and Road Initiative. We've talked about that. What is it for your people who don't know, who should by now? It is the largest infrastructure project in human history ever attempted. It's connecting Asia, Africa, South America, and parts of Europe. And it represents right now over 75% of human population and over 50% of global GDP. So I want you to keep these things in mind, because I'm going somewhere with this. It's huge. And so this represents a massive portion of human population, but an even bigger swath of commodities. These countries that are part of the Belt Road are largely resource rich, but largely underdeveloped. So China says, look, we will come in, we'll build roads and bridges and maritime channels and railroad tracks. We will patrol with military to keep everything safe. And we will industrialize. We'll build the oil refineries, the gold and silver mines. We will industrialize your countries and help you expand your middle class, bring wealth to your country, and help you get industrialized. We want a little piece of it. Okay, fine, they say. So, great. The next thing, in researching this, I come across two other organizations. Now, these two organizations that I've mentioned on your show before, there is a call by the president of Belarus to meld them into the BRICS. Largely, they all already are the BRICS. Now, when we talk about the Belt Road, those countries are not BRICS, but they're all tied to the BRICS. They're all tied to China, which is the engine of the BRICS. And this is the Chinese endeavor. The second group is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization that represents about 30+% of global GDP, maybe a little bit less, but it's this huge swath of power. They are the largest regional military and financial organization in the world. All right. And in the SCO, you have China, you have Iran, you have, I don't know if Russia's in there or not, but regardless, you have, again, highly tied and connected to BRICS. The president of Belarus says they need to be in BRICS. You also have the Eurasian Economic Union. That's the last group. These are the countries that all end in stan, like Kazakhstan. They're also highly connected with BRICS, with Russia being the R in BRICS. So all of these groups, the Eurasian Economic Union, the countries that then stand, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the largest regional financial and military organization in the world, and the Belt Road Initiative, in many ways are connected or closely connected to the BRICS. And they will, in my opinion, be given permits to trade with the BRICS. Now, I'm going somewhere with this. Just indulge me. All right. So with that all out of the way, keep these things in mind. About 3 weeks ago, we get an announcement from China, and I'm going to just read the announcement more or less. It says that the People's Bank of China has connected its digital RMB renminbi cross-border settlement system. This is the bridge. They call it the cross-border settlement system, the RMB cross. It's the bridge, right? They connected it to 10 Asianic countries, ASEAN. These are the countries in Southeast Asia, and 6 Middle Eastern countries. These are the oil-producing countries, covering 38% of global trade. They've connected to it. So remember, you got 38% of global trade just in these countries, the BRICS, the Belt Road, the SCO, and the Eurasian Economic Union. You put all those countries together, you're 90+% of human population, 3 of the 4 largest nuclear arsenals on the planet, the majority of all of the commodity production on the planet, 100% of the rare earth metal refining, the engine of manufacturing, China and Vietnam, who is now the 45th country to formally apply to BRICS. Vietnam did. All of these things come together. Okay, so where am I going with this? Let's talk about.
You're going to escape velocity here, de-dollarization.
Oh yeah, but wait, you haven't heard anything yet.
Okay,
the key to it is coming. All right, so I just want to lay the foundation. I'm sorry that I have to lay it in a way. I want to lay it so everyone can understand. You don't need to be economists to get this. All right. So the M-Bridge, this bridge technology, they say transactions typically with SWIFT, which you can be frozen out of SWIFT the way Iran and Russia were, which
as a tool of sanctions. Yeah,
chokes your economy. You starve to death because you can't move money around. They take 3 to 5 days. The new bridge technology, 7 seconds. A 98% reduction in fees. Right? 98%. It's not going from intermediary bank to intermediary bank, converting from your local currency to dollars and all that kind of stuff. No, 7-second clearing, 98% reduction in fees, and it is not compatible with the dollar, the pound, or the euro. Where am I going with all of this? Well, here we go. Sergei Lavrov, the Russian finance minister, came out and said, first of all, the goal of the new meeting in Brazil next month is to find a common settlement currency system. That's what they want to do. In fact, the Brazil chair said that is the primary goal. He said, Brazil, as summit chair, has proposed a BRICS platform independent of SWIFT, the dollar, the euro, or the pound. Here's the kicker to it all. Remember everything I just said. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov confirmed it will be open to non-member nations. Non-member nations. In other words, this platform is not just for the BRICS, but it is not compatible with the dollar, pound, or the euro. Mm-hmm. So what they are saying is now think of the Belt Road, the Eurasian Economic Union, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, these Asiatic countries, 90% of human population and the majority of all commodity production and refining in the world will be able to access this new platform that settles in 7 seconds with a 98% reduction in fees and cannot be sanctioned. Nobody's talking about it. They haven't figured this out yet. I've been screaming about it. It's coming. And if they come out and say, this is how all trade will be settled on the Belt Road, give us your oil, give us your gold, give us your rare earths, give us your silver, give us your uranium. We'll pay you in local currencies. But there's one last piece to all of this. And that is what the Shanghai Metals Exchange just said. The Shanghai Metals Exchange just said, here's what we're going to do. We are going to expand our reach, starting with Hong Kong and Saudi Arabia. We're building vaults right now, and we plan on expanding throughout Africa and Asia. Now, why would they do that? Well, they are expanding their vaults amongst the Belt Road in order to settle imbalances in gold without the gold being centrally held in Shanghai. In other words, these countries, remember we talked about the unit settlement currency? Well, that's still not finalized at this point, even though Dilma Rousseff, the former president of Brazil and the head of the BRICS New Development Bank, said, yes, we've agreed to it in principle. But until
just for the audience members at that point, they had agreed to, or they had proposed a 40% backing by gold and the rest of backing of currencies within the unit. Now, have they changed that ratio since, Andy?
No, they haven't changed it. It hasn't come quite together yet.
Okay.
But what they've been doing in the interim is trading their local currencies with one another and settling imbalances in gold.
Right.
So now the Shanghai Metals Exchange says we will open up vaults all throughout this region in all of these different locations so that we can trade amongst each other. I trade with JC in the Andy CBDC. You trade with Andy with the JC CBDC, and any imbalances that we have, will settle in gold. There's a vault in JC's neighborhood. There's a vault in Andy's neighborhood, even though it's all owned by or coordinated by the Shanghai Metals Exchange. Those bars are in my jurisdiction and in your jurisdiction. I'll just pull those bars out, and now you and I are even.
Yeah.
It's massive, dude. It's massive because all the naysayers say, well, it's not big enough. You know, you put this together, you are basically saying the West is isolated from 90% plus of the world's economies and all of the natural resources and all of the production or refining and manufacturing. You know, you look at all this stuff, they are setting the table to be able to bang, flip the switch. Now, they won't flip the switch until the switch is ready to be flipped. You look at China appeasing Trump. You look at Saudi Arabia straddling. You look at Modi from India straddling. They're playing both sides. And as they play both sides, the infrastructure on the other side is continuing to be built in a manner that once they do flip the switch, you will not be able to challenge it. And this, to me, is bigger than anything that's ever come out of the BRICS. The fact that they are opening the settlement system to non-BRICS nations is insanely big, yet they make it very clear, not compatible with the dollar, the pound, or the euro. The people in the West, go fuck yourself, is essence what they're saying. And this is big, and it should not be underestimated. Mm-hmm. And that's why this is moving in a very methodical fashion. These folks know if they run and grab all the commodities too fast, they cut off their nose to spite their face. Right. They have to move in a slow, methodical fashion because the people in the West poo-poo anything that doesn't move like that. If it doesn't move exponentially quick, it's a nothing burger. That plays right into the hands of these folks who are very coordinated and very plotted.
Well, they were playing the long game, which brings us to the question now: what the hell is the West going to do about this? Now, Trump just tweeted again this agreement in principle with China here on this new magnets and rare earths contract, but and some of the counter tariffs being involved here. So apparently here, China is bending the knee to Trump here. We still have some holdouts, but for the most part, Trump has been successful negotiating this in the last month or so. Now, on top of this, though, if we look at what you've just suggested is the roadmap moving forward, what is the West to do if the dollar, the euro, and the pound is not compatible with this new bridge? What's Trump doing at that level? Are you hearing, is that why he's very prone on having crypto become, or the USA become the capital of crypto innovation around the world? Is he trying to build some type of competing network, or is he positioning a key piece in here to be then invited into this world that is 90% outside of our reach right now? Where are we going?
That's the point that's hard to determine. Is it being done? I mean, have we become net importers of gold and brought in all these gold-friendly cabinet members like Bessent and an advisor like Judy Shelton to be able to stand up to this? Are we going to become more nationalistic and less globalized? Look, the Western civilization, our country, our whole way of life used to be full of energy and promise, you know, and now it's more like spiritual decay and declining trust in our institutions and fragmentation in our culture and ideological extremism. And if you don't think that what's going on around the world right now, again, this horseshit with these ridiculously stupid radical liberals that all ought to be thrown in jail or get the hell out of this country, I can't take it anymore. I can't take that shit. I truly can't. I think there is a profound loss of confidence in the West and the United States. I think that people see this. It's not lost on our adversaries. And I think that the rest of the world is moving in a different direction. And maybe Trump realizes this. Maybe this is why he has gone so far as to massively bring in so much in the way of gold.
Yeah.
But look, as far as I'm concerned, guys like Xi are capitalizing on our internal conflict. That is right out of the book, The Art of War.
Art of War, yeah.
Yes, you capitalize on the internal conflict of your opponent. And the Chinese know it very, very well. What's happening in Los Angeles, in Dallas, in Atlanta, in New York is only adding to the full-blown dumpster fire that is the United States right now. And this insurrection, it distracts, it humiliates, us while emboldening them. And so yeah, I think that indeed, look, I don't think that these folks are building this infrastructure with Trump in mind. I think they look at him kind of as a intern, and they're looking beyond Trump. I think that they appease him while he's here and wonder what comes next. But the infrastructure that's being put into place, once they flip the switch, will be nearly impossible to compete with. The only saving grace is by the grace of God, and I hope it's all staying here, that his advisors, and I hope they're the ones behind it, have told him, if we don't start getting these important commodities in-house, we're dead in the water, because that's the way the world is moving.
So you're seeing, okay. So when we look at the West right now, their long play strategy, they're outplaying us in many different fields. But you're saying they're seeing past Trump here, and they're more than anything, they're seeing past this drama, this rhetoric, these elbows up, the terrorists, blah blah blah, right? But most of the normies watching the news right now, they're not seeing past it. They're seeing that, the turmoil. So how do we get them to see past the rhetoric here and understand what's happening globally, and get them at the man on the street level to think about their own financial security and future, and perhaps getting outside of the dollar as well, even if it's at the percentage, to hedge their bets here on whether or not the Americans and the Europeans here will get back into the game, financially speaking. What does the man on the street do moving forward here to see past all of this rhetoric, Andy?
There's a truism, JC, in that the man on the street is always screwed as it pertains to investing the little man, because they move after the realization is in place. Ask Cliff about that. He'll tell you that people don't ever see what they need to see until it's too late. You can give them all the warnings in the world and all of the empirical evidence and all of the facts, and they don't see it until it's too late. Let's use an example, maybe what it would take.
They have their normalcy bias. They can't.
Right. Well, that's just it. Doge said that they're going to come and fix things, right? And Doge had 9.4 billion of cuts, right? And that sounds like a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Our government adds $6 billion to the national debt every single day. That means in 37 hours, all of the work that Doge did, gone. That's it. Our deficits are that big. You add the big, beautiful bill to it, that's adding $2 trillion to the deficit, 2.2 at the end of the fiscal year. At the same time, we have credit card debt at all-time highs of $1.3 trillion. We've added 350 billion, or 35% of it, since 2020. The average bill on those credit cards is $7,000 at a rate of over 21%. You have student loan debt, all-time record, 1.8 trillion. It's also the largest asset of the United States, as sick as that is.
Yeah.
You have all of these things adding up, and we're massively indebted, and interest rates continue to move higher. What does it take for the person to wake up? Maybe something that is very painful for them to finally wake up and understand that we're trapped, we're caught, there's a problem. The person on the street is blissfully whistling into the abyss.
Underfunded pension funds, is that what's going to wake them up, Andy?
Sure, why not? Absolutely. I mean, or maybe a major bank failure. I don't know what wakes them up, JC. I mean, if anyone would understand it, it's you, it's Cliff, people who have been saying things for so long that many of which have come true. But no one wants to listen to what we say, because the information that I'm talking about isn't pleasant. And they would rather say, well, that it's never going to happen, could never happen here, won't ever happen here. I would disagree. We are at the end of a long-standing system. It seems to be coming to an end. It is a system that's based on trust. We have lost.
They would prefer the comfortable lie versus the inconvenient truth.
That's right. But that's the way everything is,
Yeah.
And I think that's, unfortunately, more people will be run over by what they never saw coming. You can't get out of the way of what you never see coming. You can scream until you're blue in the face. This is coming. This is coming. The little boy who cried wolf, that's me. And I always say, remember, at the end of the story, the wolf does come. And we're not out of the woods yet, not even by a long stretch. And, and then you see what's going on, and this It's like they're trying to foment a civil war right now. The fact that it just all sprung up in all of these cities. Are you kidding me? And coordinated and masks and bricks that their trucks delivering bricks and all these idiots who are so principle based. They all wear masks. It's chicken shits. They all wear masks. That's so principle based that they're going to get out there and protest, but they wear a mask so no one can see who they are. I mean, the whole thing is just beyond upsetting to me.
This is Chicago right now. Like, it's just getting crazier and crazier. This, of course, is going to escalate to May 14th. I think they're trying to have this 1770.
They want their George Floyd moment again. They want someone to die and be the martyr and create this,
another George Floyd moment. Is that what you're saying, Andy?
Yeah. Yes, and that's why I left Minneapolis, because of the George Floyd moment.
Don't blame me.
And I can't handle this again. I was just hopeful that we'd gotten past that. But I mean, if this doesn't wake people up to the level that the pushback against Trump and this deep state really has,
I don't know what will.
It should be concerning. And if you are not a contrarian, you're damn well bound to be a victim. And if you hold all your,
I love that, Andy. Yeah, that's a good one. Hey, good. Andy, we have a few minutes here before you have to go. I know we have another show right after this one. For those who are watching the show and who see the writing on the wall and who are attempting to kind of hedge here as all of this transition is happening before them, you sent me some new specials here on beyondmystic.net for the audience members today. We still have some of the junk silver. You've just brought it now to the lowest price I've ever seen, $1 over spot. But let's talk about these other 4 offerings here today. Andy, what do you have for the Beyond Mystic audience?
Let's talk about first of all, the backdate silver maple leafs down at the bottom.
Yep.
To me, they're as good as any silver coin on the planet. They are the most highly pure silver coins in the world. I love them. If you're in the United States, the only thing I like maybe even a little bit better would be American Eagles or pre-65 junk silver, which I think you have also. The 1/10 ounce maple leaf at $39.99 over their melt value over spot. Again, for trading, for liquidity, for functionality, for utility, as good as it gets. They're tiny little dime-sized coins. The 1 ounce silver prospector, someone asked at the beginning, I think it was on your show here, I was on one right before you. And is there any difference in value on a round? This is one of the only silver rounds that I've ever seen that acts like a coin. They're highly sought after for collectors. They don't make them anymore. Engelhard doesn't produce bars. These are on par with American Eagles in terms of demand and price. And then the Platinum Britannias, which, platinum right now is on a tear. And it's gone up over 25% in the last couple of weeks. It's massively undervalued, and we're beginning to see China accumulate it as well. In fact, on June 6th last week was the highest trading volume on COMEX and platinum ever in history. Mm-hmm. Something's going on with platinum as well. So look, you buy gold, silver, and platinum not to become wealthy. You buy it because it is wealth. And all of this stuff we're talking about, which is not fear mongering, which is not gaslighting, this is reality. And if people don't see it, this is why so few people do see it. Because most people can't rationalize, internalize, or they would think a guy like me is talking my book. After 35 years and 12 billion in sales, I don't need to talk my book at all. I do this because I just feel that this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what makes me feel like I'm contributing to society, even a little bit. And I'm not trying to grandstand or make myself see high and mighty or bigger than I am. This is what I like to do. And it has nothing to do. Yes, I'm building a business, but I mean this. I have 3 children and I'm scared as hell for their future based upon the stuff that we see unfolding. That is very, very different than anything that I ever experienced as a college kid, thinking about what the world looked like for me when I got out. And now I think these things need to be thought about on a continual basis, watched, because the players that are building this behind the scenes are incredibly plotted and well thought out, and they're using much of our own stupidity against us. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But I believe this. I believe that this is going to be a very interesting year, and God forbid something really bad comes out of all of these riots. But the bigger question is, who the hell's behind them?
Right.
Who's coordinating?
Who's financing
Who's
this?
funding? These people need to be kicked out of this country or thrown into jail. I really mean that. It's like enough already.
But then we're going to have crying heart liberal judges block Trump and block the deportations again. And of course, is this continuous fight right now? We can't trust anything that's going on. Hey, Andy, we have 2 minutes.
War,
I wanted to ask 2 questions in the live chat. Worsley now, I think, is asking, hey, can we get junk silver in Canada? So Canadian junk silver. Do you still have that at mfbullion.ca for those who are on the Canadian side, Andy? Do you know if there's inventory?
It's really hard to get.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible in Canada. And the reason it's hard to get is that there is the Canadian junk silver has just been gobbled up a long time ago. And for us sending junk silver into Canada would be a 13% VAT tax.
Right.
Because it's not 999 fine. So unfortunately, no, it's very.
There's other weekly specials here, guys, on the Canadian side. mfbullion.ca. You'll see the specials on the screen there. So just go to the link.
Hey, $50 silver but in Canadian dollars, not quite as exciting as in US dollars. But.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know, it's crazy. The other question was from the American side of the viewership. They're asking, can junk silver be bought for your IRA?
No, unfortunately not. It has to be 999 fine. Okay. So junk silver cannot be bought for your IRA, unfortunately. At $1 over, it's the best buy, period, in silver, period. During the pandemic, the buyback premiums for 3 years were 10, 11, 12 bucks over spot. That's what I bought back from you all. They were being sold for 13 plus over. So yeah, there is nothing that is as good of a value right now as a pre-65.
Andy, with all the craziness happening in the world right now, what are you doing to stay calm, cool, collected, focus on your business, focus on your children, and not get so agitated with all of this crazy drama? What advice can you give to the audience who are struggling right now too to find center in all of this here moving forward, Andy?
I mean, it's hard, man. It truly is. I mean, I exercise, I go on long walks, I play golf, I shut off my computer once in a while. I try and focus on what's important, my family, my kids. It eats me alive, as you can see. And it's not even the financial side of things. Look, if we were a united country and everyone had the same ideological outlook at the way that this country once had, I'd be okay. You can get past the hard, the economic woes. What really is disturbing to me is this massive divide between people who understand what this country was founded on and what it means, meritocracy and respect, and doing the right thing by your neighbor. I mean, as goofy as that sounds, the golden rule. And then you look at these idiots who are, and the politicians like, Newsom saying, what are you talking about? This is a peaceful protest. Well, really, did you see the Apple store in downtown Los Angeles completely looted and rioted? Did you see the, and it's like this divisiveness to me bothers me more than anything. So
half the police cars are out of commission. Like, think about the safety and security of the rest of the population when the cops can't even use their cars to get to answer calls. Like, it's absolutely crazy. It's not.
Well, that to me is the most maddening thing, and I try really hard. I might become an alcoholic, or I don't know, because it's very difficult for me to. That to me is the most disturbing thing. Find community and protect yourself. I mean, protect yourself in every way, not just physically, not just financially, but the best you can in every way, spiritually, emotionally. Absolutely. And get a community. JC, that's the hardest question you could ask me, because I get really bent out of shape when it comes to what's happening societally. Where I come from, you do the right thing, and all of these people do not belong in this country, as far as I'm concerned, at all. They don't, and the lack of respect that they give to this country, to me, and what it stands for, to me is beyond treasonous. And every one of them, I don't even know what good it does saying that, other than to say that to me is the most disheartening thing of all. So be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And like, you have this great community of people that to me is a good start. Find a community and do the best you can to build it.
Yeah. You know, when you said, with great advice, Andy, thank you. And you know, when you said perhaps these people have to go, perhaps that's why the government in the United States is revamping all of their prisons, including Alcatraz, Gitmo, and many others who didn't even ask for money for renovations. Something is just around the corner, guys. Hey, Mark, Richard Marks is asking, how much is the silver, junk silver again, guys? $1 over spot for this community only. Go to beyondmystic.net/silver. And guys, join us this evening. Quite a few more shows this afternoon. Expanding Consciousness with Jans, Beyond Crystals again, the second show here of this brand new franchise with Meg and Sunny. That's going to be at 6 p.m. And Janine and I will be back this evening at 8 o'clock Eastern for the next edition of the Beyond the News. That can be found here on pay-per-view and also on the Insider Access Pass. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. Please give us a like before you go. Say a big thank you to Andy. And Andy, again, you're more than welcome to come back anytime. I look forward to seeing you in your new studio when you come back. So
yes, that'll be in 2 weeks. Let me give one plug to you.
Sure.
I enjoyed your show in Ottawa as much as any show I've ever gone to. The people were amazing. The show was amazing. And if you do it again, count me in. And I hope all of you out there go, because it was a really cool experience. And
dude, my next conference is going to be in Florida.
Well, hey, well, in that case,
your backyard.
Beautiful. Well, in that case, I'll show you a good time. Come down a day or two.
Oh, I look forward to it. We haven't decided yet. We think Orlando. We were looking at some different venues combined with bigger hotels this time around, because
Gaylord Palms in Orlando is where all of the shows are.
Which one was it called?
Gaylord Palms. It's a massive, like the shape of an octagon, and all of the rooms all face an inside courtyard. They have a huge conference center there, and that's where all of the precious metals and economic shows in Orlando are. So I would check that one out.
Okay. Thank you, Andy. It's a date for next year. I love you, man. Have a great week, everyone.
God bless you all.
All right. Take care.
Wow.
Bye-bye.